let's bring on one of our favorite guests onto the show. He hasn't been on for the past 2 weeks, vacation, all that stuff, getting ready for 2025. But every single Friday, for those that are new to the channel, I do a segment with my good friend, Mr. TJ, the Wheel Deal. And we have a public portfolio where, well, you guys will see the portfolio, but we both manage about $1 million in the portfolio, and we trade the wheel. We sell options, sell puts, sell calls, collect premiums. And it is a way that I believe is a potential way to use the market to generate some income. That's the way I think of it. It's a way to use the market to generate some income without having to only buy and hold, or without having to gamble on options and hope, the stock goes to the moon. So having said that, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 2025, let's bring on Mr. TJ, the Wheel Deal. TJ, what's up?
What's up, Amit? How are you, bud?
I am doing very good. I hear you got a new mic, TJ.
No, I just put it closer.
Okay, I've been watching some of your streams. I'm like, this mic sounds
This
more
is the same one. It's just I had it on the side of this stream because I think it looks kind of phallic when it's like right there. You know what I mean?
All right.
New year, same TJ.
Same TJ. Everybody ignore Chris in the chat. Chris is like, he's chosen to like play the devil when it comes to freaking wheelers. Chris is
show the portfolio so Chris can just have a little humble pie this morning.
We love Chris, but Chris is not for wheeling. So if you like wheeling, you're not going to get any love from Chris. There you go. 12.
Chris, shut up, Chris. Shut up and take some nose classes in session, boy. All love. Dude, I wish if I was smart as Chris Patel, this shit would be at 20 million already. But
no, it actually would be at 20 million because he would get you into some.
I'm telling you, dude, these debit spreads, I wouldn't understand it. I'd just be pushing buttons, bro.
Okay, TJ, definitely move the mic away from me because you are too loud. You're way too loud.
Is that better?
That's perfect.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, Amit, dude, I have been making some moves, dude, because I've been studying other wheelers that are much higher level than I am. And they just don't own as many shares. They do long calls and poor man cover calls. It's a lot more managing and stuff like that. So I've just been kind of working towards this pivot to try to get like super cash heavy and be able to focus on my bread and butter, which is selling cash secured puts. Like I just like managing them. It's easier for me. And I want to own less shares, or I want to own more shares, but in less companies, if that makes sense. I want to be very concentrated in four or five stocks only.
Okay, so before we get started, let me, because we do have a lot of new people here. So first, let me just lay the groundwork for this, and then we'll get into the actual portfolio. So what is wheeling for those that are new here? Wheeling is essentially being the seller versus the buyer when it comes to financial derivatives, aka options. There's two types of options. There's a lot of options, but the two basic ones are puts and calls. What we do when it comes to selling options is we say, hey, what if we sell the option versus buying the option? And from selling the option, we can collect premium from the people that are buying the option. So 2 quick examples on puts and calls. When you are selling a put, you are saying that you are agreeing to buy a stock at a certain price. So if Robinhood's at 48 and I'm agreeing to buy it at 45, I have to agree to buy 100 shares of Robinhood at 45. That would be $4,500 that I would have to spend. And in order to sell that put, I would have to put up 4,500 and I would maybe get a couple $100, maybe $70, $80, whatever the market is willing to pay from the buyer of that put. The $100 divided by $4,500, the 100 in premium you get divided against your collateral is the percentage return that you're getting over a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month out, 5 months out, a year out. You can pick your expiration. And that is the nature of wheeling when it comes to cash secured puts. If Robinhood is below 45 on the date of expiration, you are required to buy 100 shares at $45. So you have to spend that $4,500. If it's above 45, then you get to keep your $4,500 and you get to keep your premium as well. On the flip side, we have selling covered calls. So if I have 100 shares of Robinhood and my average is $20 and Robinhood's at 45, I might think, hey, Robinhood's not going to get to 65. I'm going to sell a call for $65 1 month out. And if someone wants to gamble in this case, which is not being used in a negative way, but that's kind of just objectively someone's gambling that they think Robinhood can get to that level. It can make a 54% move in another month. They might be willing to pay a little bit of premium. So right now, I think the calls for $65 are going for 70 cents times 100. That's $70. So if someone's willing to pay $70 for your 100 shares, because they think it can get to 65 and you think it can't get to 65, you are selling a call against your 100 shares. You need 100 shares in order to sell the call, which means your calls or your shares are essentially paying you rent, because if Robinhood does not get to 65, then you get to keep your shares. You get to keep the premium that the gambler, the buyer, gave you because you sold him that call. And then you get to rinse and repeat and do it again. I know there's a lot of variables, and if you're new here, there's a lot to learn, and there's more videos you can watch. But in a nutshell, that is the game that TJ's been playing. That's the game that I have learned very graciously from TJ, and that's what he does with this $12 million portfolio.
Awesome.
So I think let's what moves have you made, TJ? Or let's start with this. What are you planning?
So what I like to do is I like to give a easier layman's term recap for what you just said, because you went on where you had the little microphone and debate, and you had the little flag, and nobody's allowed to talk, and you're going on your little rant. It's real simple. You pick a stock that you want to own, and then you have to decide, I want to get paid to buy these shares at a discount from today's market prices, and that's a cash secured put. That's the first way we get paid. And then whenever you take ownership of those shares, eventually, because you do it over and over, eventually you're going to get caught. You're going to get those shares put on you. That's why it's called the cash secured put. Then you're going to put those shares up for sale, because you're like, well, I have this rental unit and I want to collect premium to sell these shares for a profit. So I bought them at 10. I want to sell them for 12. So I got paid going in and I want to get paid going out. So cash secured put is your money going in, and the covered call is the money going out. And then the third way that you get paid is the capital appreciation. That's if you want to do a traditional wheel strategy. That is not really what I do. What I do is I own a handful of stocks, and I sell cash secured puts and cover calls around those stocks so that I can generate more premiums than I have paid for those shares, because I'm playing a game called lower the adjusted cost basis to zero. So I don't really want to be categorized as a wheeler, because I do feel like if you're a traditional wheeler, you're essentially just someone who's always trying to be in cash. And you're always going to be limited by the amount of money that premiums can bring in. And I think that's fine, but those are breadcrumbs. If you want to make the big money in the stock market, you at some point have to be willing to own some shares and hold them for long periods of time. And that's what the alpha has had in the stock market. It's been proven, and I can prove it to all of you guys. I don't care how smart or dumb you are. It's just like this. People get rich on 401ks on accident. Because all they do is DCA into the market for years and years and years. And they look up 20, 30, 40 years later and they got $1 million, $2 million bucks. They didn't listen to one earnings report. They didn't give a shit about the Fed. They didn't give a damn about your Fibonacci. They didn't care about any of that stuff because they DCA'd into the market for long periods of time. And that works. So keep that in mind. Anyway, are we good, Amit?
I'm good. I guess we'll get started with what is your 2025 goal with this portfolio, and then we'll get into the plays you're making.
Yeah, so premiums for the year is $3 million. I want to capture $3 million in premiums because the portfolio was right at 11 and some change whenever we started the year. So the goal is to capture $3 million in premiums via cash secured puts, covered calls, and or rolling. And I think the portfolio will have a 2 in front of it by the end of the year. Not just because of the capital appreciation that I'm expecting, but also because I do feel like I'm going to be able to move some monies around, and I may be able to inject some more money into the portfolio as well. But before I do that, I probably have to have and not just me, because this is just one account that you guys are seeing. So I probably have to get the entire family together and get on a conference call with Robinhood and make sure that we're comfortable, because there's like 3 other accounts that are even larger than this one right here on this platform. And I want to make sure that we're comfortable, because I don't know, you read all this stuff and it's 500,000 and 2 million and all this other stuff that I'm not real familiar with. So at some point you just have to be comfortable with, hey, what happens if shit hits the fan? You know what I mean? Like, how does that work? Because I've never played in this arena before. And I listen to Jesse Dallas channel every once in a while, and he says that he has like multiple accounts. And I think these are the reasons. I think Invest with Henry has 2 or 3 accounts as well for those.
You spread it out so you're saved under different insurance and all that stuff. So
yeah, but it's also a hassle. So I'm always trying to look for the easiest way, dude. The fastest way, from a straight line, point A to point B is a straight line, right? Like I'm that guy, but at the same time, we don't want to be ridiculous. We don't want to be, do something silly either. And potentially you wake up and you're like, holy shit, right? Like there's a lot of money gone. So
Right.
those are the basic goals. These are the holdings right here, Met. So we could start here. So we're down to 9 holdings right here, and Neo will be out of there probably by next Friday. This is just a little swing trade that I've been doing. Gosh, now going on about a year, very, very successfully. But I don't recommend people getting into that play because it's got a lot of risk attached to it. So this is on total return, I believe. So I'll start it this way. We'll put it on equity. So it's SoFi, Riot, Tesla, Amazon, Hood, CleanSpark, Marathon, Enphase, Neo. The investments are the 5. I always say find your 5. These are the 5. I had another 5 that to no fault of its own is no longer in there, and that's Palantir. And it's just because I misplayed it. So I had to get out of that position and reallocate those funds because I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar in a real big way on covered calls. But that wasn't Palantir's fault. That wasn't the horse's fault. That was the jockey's fault. So I did not jockey that horse accordingly. So now I have to figure out and scramble how to get back into that position because it was definitely supposed to be in this top 5. And then everything that you see here on the bottom of it, these are just swing trades. I'm playing CleanSpark and Marathon because of the Bitcoin Donald Trump pump. And then Enphase is another swing trade that could potentially graduate to an investment, and Neo is another swing trade as well. So
by the end of 2025, how many positions do you want to have?
I want to go with the 4 horsemen plus 1. So these would be the 4 horsemen right here. But Riot may not be there anymore. I may switch that over to long calls and run the poor man cover call campaign and switch that. I'll probably graduate Hood, or if there is a pullback that I'm anticipating in Palantir. I know that's not what the channel wants to hear, but if there is a gap that is filled on the chart, I think it's in that $40-$50 range, then I would love for Palantir to be in there because it's just something that I know is going to $1 trillion. I just don't know when, but it was just like I couldn't be in a situation where I was just gaining like $3 for every dollar in movement, you know what I mean, like, or 3 pennies, because I was just in a bad way with the way that I misplayed the cover calls.
Yeah. For those that don't know, TJ had some like 40 and 30 covered calls when Palantir was at 80, so it made more sense to just get out of the position and reallocate the capital.
Yeah, I did realize gains and pay a lot of taxes, and it sucks, man, because now it's like you want in on that stock, but at the same time, now I have to go try to be responsible and find the ideal entry point.
So let me ask you this. On the 4 horsemen, if it's SoFi, Riot, Tesla, Amazon, the goal in 2025 is to primarily get, you said, 3 million in premiums, which I think is up from the 2 million you got last year, from those 4 names. That is the goal. Those 4 should be getting you the premiums.
In these other cash grab situations as well. Like if CleanSpark stays in this range, I mean, CleanSpark is just a premium dream right now at these levels. And Marathon is not just premium situation. This is a swing trade that could potentially produce a lot of alpha because there's a huge short interest on this thing as well. And then Wall Street loves this thing, dude. Whenever this thing moves, like it really moves. Like I could easily see Marathon having a 3 handle in front of it pretty quickly with the right situation. And I've got it's a sizable position, not like a crazy position, but there's an easy 100 grand there. I feel, and not to mention the premiums are real good. So I am running a bit of a strangle where I've got the shares for sale at $25.50, and then I'm agreeing to buy 20,000 more shares at $20, and I'm babysitting that trade. I've been in it for 2 or 3 months now. Been in this trade before. This ticker right here has made us over $1 million already since we've been in it. But Chris Patel put it back on my radar. Because he started studying the miners, and dude, I agree with him. I've known for a long time that I think that right now, Marathon is best in class. I'm just not a fan of the CEO, just straight up. He'll never be on the channel. I'm not a fan. So and it's all good, but I can still make money off of this underlying. And it's just they pivot too much. So it's just I don't like having to follow the storylines because it's a very innovative company, and they don't just like sit on their laurels. They're always like out there trying to do things.
Yeah, and they have they have the most Bitcoin on the balance sheet as well out of all the miners.
Yeah,
So that
by a
makes
long
sense.
shot. By a long shot. Yeah.
So let's start off with SoFi. Let's go through the four horsemen, and I mean, we'll go through all the positions, but SoFi in particular, you made some moves yesterday. How are you thinking of SoFi? Obviously, it's run. It's got earnings coming up. How are you playing it? And then, do you think this is one that you're going to still have the amount of shares you have at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think it'll be more shares, actually. I think it'll get up to 250,000 shares, depending on how the conference call goes with Robinhood customer service as soon as I get done with your channel here in a little bit.
Oh, you have a call scheduled?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, good. Let us know how it goes. Hopefully they really help you out. You're a
They've already made some exceptions, dude. And this was just from a Twitter post because I ranted a little bit. And I don't like doing that kind of stuff, but I was heated. I had done a workout and I don't like doing that kind of stuff because I'm not trying to throw Robinhood under the bus. I love this platform. I never met Vlad. He seems like a stand-up guy. You know how I feel about that whole thing back in the day, right? I think you might have told the white liar too, but it's whatever. We've all done it. But what I'm saying is I think that Robinhood means well, but they're also a very small brokerage still, relatively speaking.
Correct.
So there's a lot of growing pains.
They're smaller compared to Schwab and Fidelity, which is why, for example, you can't sell more than 200 contracts at a time, which is super annoying for someone like yourself who sells hundreds of thousands of contracts a year. However, because they value users, I'm happy they're taking this call with you, and hopefully they can hook you up because they're getting bigger and they need to be able to acquiesce to people.
But I don't know if that 200 contracts is them, because I've been reading things that might actually be part of the Chicago Board Options Exchange, CBOE. So that stands for.
Right.
I don't know that that's them. So you get over 25. But then I'm thinking it has to be them because I sold 1,000 cash equivalents at one time on Webull. But I have to go back and see whether or not I collected more than $24 per contract. Because Robinhood will let you do up to 500 contracts at a time as long as you're not collecting more than $24 a contract.
Got you.
So that's kind of and again, I just need to understand, because what happens is it's $1 here, it's $1 there, Amit, when you're talking about anywhere from 250 to 500,000 contracts a year, dude, it adds up to a lot of money because you're getting different fills.
Right.
And it's just a lot more data entry. It's just a hassle. Bottom line, it's a friggin' hassle.
Yeah.
And it's not just on one account, dude. Like I have this nightmare with 3 other accounts. And so I just feel like Robinhood wasn't really meant initially for people to go in there with quite a bit of money. I think it was meant for the $2,000 and $3,000 and $5,000, $10,000 account, which is the majority of the population, and that's all fine and dandy. But then you find people that got a little bit of money, and they're like, "Dude, this user interface is amazing. I want in." And then here comes all this money, and I don't feel that they were prepared for that kind of volume.
Yeah, I agree, and hopefully they can start to get prepared for that.
But again, this is just my opinion. I could probably totally be wrong. I just don't know how it works, but I want to find out. I'd rather just say I don't know how it works, but I want to find out versus just speculating and inferring because I have no idea. So anyway, there's 150,000 shares here. I actually exercised $5 and $7 long calls yesterday, so this got up to 190,000 shares. And because of the rant on X, Robinhood actually reversed those trades back.
Wow. Yeah. Dude, that's because I was wondering why it went from 190 to 150. That's real. That's cool. That's dope.
Yeah, dude, they legit reversed it. I can give me a second here. It's because
I mean, talk about actually trying to give a fuck about your customers, bro.
Dude, I just
because you didn't want to exercise those. You didn't.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Oh, here we go. So you'll see on there where it says reversed.
Yeah, we can't really see it, but nonetheless.
Okay. Yeah, so there's 2 of them. You're going to see it's 140,000 and 100 grand because it was the $7 calls and the $5 calls, 200 contracts.
Yeah.
So that was taken from the brokerage cash. The shares were put into the account because I wanted to sell cover calls against those shares. Is what it was. So they're like, no, you're capped out because you can only have 5,000 contracts per ticker. So I'm like looking at the screen and I'm like, I'm always looking for ways to navigate. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to whine. I'm going to win. You know what I mean? So I just like, well, if I exercise these long calls, that takes 400 contracts off the books. I was at 4,500 contracts, and then I'll be able to sell 500 covered calls. And I was able to get it down, but they reversed the process. And you're going to see here that there's now 54 contracts on the books as well. So they've already upped that. They've already upped that limit here. I don't know if it was just a one-time thing, because customer service got in my DM, or customer support got in my DMs on X, but I didn't respond to it because it said they only had like 14 followers, and I'm like, I don't know if somebody's trying to scam me right now.
Right, which tends to happen. Yeah.
So because it had just like the little feathers, a lot like when they invited me to New York, bro. That's why I didn't jump on it, because it looked like a scam, right?
Yeah.
And then they started asking you for information, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. You're making me feel like a little bit uneasy right now. So what's going on here, Amit, is there's 8 open strategies. 60,000 of these shares are up for sale. The bulk of the position is up for sale by the end of the month at $20.
So essentially, you're saying you don't think SoFi is 20 by January 31st. That's
No, what I'm saying is I think I'm going to get out for a 70% profit, and I won't have to mess with it. That's what I think. Do I think that it could happen? If Galileo announces something special, because they're going to do a triple earnings beat and they're going to do a raise. I think that's going to happen. So I think that starts getting priced in. The only way this thing really does a moonshot, I know you can do all the max pains and all this other stuff with your short interest, and that's all fine and dandy. But the only thing that I feel that could justify that type of multiple is Galileo would have to deliver some news that nobody is expecting, which is signing probably a top 10 bank or something like that.
Right.
And I don't think that's in the cards right now. So I was willing to take that gamble. And then this was a hedge that I put on that I absolutely misplayed, dude. I did 500 covered calls. It was actually for 10, and then I rolled them out for 15. And then I'm going to let those shares get called away next year. And then these were the long calls that I exercised, and Robinhood put them back on the books for us. And then these are 1,000 more covered calls for January of 2026. Going to be rolling those hopefully if SoFi is cooperating. I'm expecting to have to roll these contracts for the next 3 to 5 years, and I'm totally okay with that. And then these are the long calls that are protecting the position, right? We've got 500 long calls at 10, 500 at 15, and 1,000 at 20. So that's why I have the freedom and the liberty to be able to be very aggressive with short calls, because I bought all that insurance already.
Right.
So this is really what I'm contemplating right here, Amit. What do you think? I was thinking about closing these right here. I closed them before the last earnings for a cool 180 grand. So it's 500 contracts, and they're currently worth 404. So I left a cool 200 grand on the table last time. But I thought about just closing these out just to like take a little bit off the table going into earnings, because everybody's like real sanguine, myself included, thinking that, it can only go up and to the right, but this thing has shown that it does go down a lot too at times.
What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think show us the how much you're up on these? Up 300%?
I don't even know.
450% in about a year, right? Less than a year?
Yeah, so bought these on 3/8, March the 8th.
So obviously you have till 2026 and SoFi probably will be above 10 by 2026, but your logic is, let me get some cash, and
Well, the logic is also that I've already rolled these without closing these out, because I didn't have the 20s. And I didn't have the 15s. I only had the 10s coming into the year, and then I bought the 15s. Whenever I closed out the $10 calls, I bought these. But people only saw, oh, this idiot closed, and left all his money on the table. But what they don't see or piece together the puzzle is that I'm up a shitload of money on these right here, and I bought these in October, not too long ago.
What have you
I had already done this in anticipation. Yeah, I wanted to like roll it up and kind of like lock in a win, if you will.
Yeah, what if you sell half? I feel like that always takes the load off, right?
And then I recently bought these on the news. What's it called? KBW? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, KBW, when they downgraded them.
The dude, the goofy looking guy, the analyst.
Correct.
Whenever, but he pushed it down somehow. Whatever he did worked because SoFi went down like a lot. And I recently bought these on January the 2nd. I bought 1,000 of these contracts, not all at once, but you know, again, because Robinhood has these damn limitations. So, you know, these are, you know, 100, 100, 200, 200, 200, and 200. But I started the process on January the 2nd and finished it on January the 10th. And now we're sitting in a pretty decent situation, right? Already up 124 grand, but I have no intention of closing these because I do think that these will eventually be in the money. And then these also protect me because I have 1,000 covered calls for sale in January of 2026.
What does your gut tell you about those $10 calls? Does your gut say sell, or like gun to your head, would you sell or no?
The $10 calls?
Yeah.
You know, here's the thing.
I feel like you don't want to sell them.
No. Well, here's the issue, and I'll tell y'all why. Because the math says probably lock in the win, right? Because I'm super bullish on SoFi, so I think that this thing's going to keep moonshotting. But the issue is, I really do not have anything to put the money into, and I'm already sitting on plenty of cash. Yeah. So I'm just like, well, I mean, I can always sell calls against it if they elevate the amount of shares that, or the amount of contracts that we can sell.
Right.
Because that's the issue is like I'm at, if you count these out, guys, and I go back over here.
I mean, having cash on the side too isn't horrible, you know, just in case.
Yeah. If you add that right there real quickly, Emmett, that's 5,400 contracts already. So we're already above that threshold that Robinhood said based on that screenshot that I put in. And I regret doing that. I think I actually took down the post because it wasn't a good look. So, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, kind of like you're arguing with your girl and you put your business out there and you know damn well that it's just not the right thing to do after. Because Robinhood's been really good to us.
I was getting messages from random people saying, yo, TJ's going to leave Hood. And in my head, I'm like, guys, I don't think TJ's leaving Hood. A, because he loves Hood. B, because I think they're going to help him. You know, they're not going to let him leave that much money off the table.
So. Bro, it'd be very, very difficult for us to make that. We've already tried to make that transition, full disclosure, to Charles Schwab. And bro, just all the red tape that you have to go through. It's like, dude, it's like, do you want our business or not? We're coming over there with at least $50 million. Do you want the business or not? You're making it very difficult for us to dance with you. Whereas Robinhood is like, where's your big picture of some licenses and let's do business. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Schwab has 90 trillion in assets.
And I get it, dude. I get it. We're nothing to them. I get it. And it took us 2 months for them to lower us to 35 cents a contract from the 60 or whatever that they offer everyone. So that was a negotiation in and of itself. And they're like, well, Robinhood's only charging you 3 cents. But what happens is they do all this stuff and on the fills, and they gave us all this shit on how this payment for order flow works. And they make it sound like we would actually save like $500,000 if we went to Charles Schwab. So the sales pitch was brilliant.
Right.
But then they're like, it's over here, it's out of sight, out of mind, because you don't see what really goes on in the back end. So free's not really free and all this other stuff. And they're just like putting Robinhood's name through the mud. And I was like, yeah, but their interface, the user interface is really awesome for me. And I can't afford to make any mistakes because a lot of these I'm having to do y'all only see like a fraction of my life. You know what I mean? Like y'all got to multiply that time like 5 times. And that's what I got to do on a daily basis. And I haven't found another platform that I'm comfortable with like this one.
Yeah.
And I don't think the fills are that bad, dude. I mean, it takes a while. Like when I do them off camera, like if I get stubborn and I'm like, hey, I want the higher fill, like did they give it to you? It just takes like an hour sometimes. So you have to be patient.
Right. Okay, well, so that's what you have on SoFi. Speaking of Hood, let's discuss the Hood position, because I also know that you are thinking of not having Hood as one of your 4 horsemen. And I guess my question to you is why? Why would Hood not make the cut for 2025?
I feel like I just didn't. And the reason I'm saying 4 horsemen, these would all be $1 million positions. Technically, Hood, I feel, is $1 million position if you add the entire thing. It's just not $1 million position from the share count, right? The share market value.
Yeah.
but there's also some positions here. So there's $50 covered calls that expire, I guess today, right? Today's the 17th. Yeah, shit.
The fact that those are kind of under pressure is insane. But
Is it? Are they?
well,
Are
not,
they?
not the actual, but just the stock itself, you know. At
Oh,
47.
okay, yeah. Yeah, dude. Hood, bro. The more that I study them, because they're like going into all these other countries and stuff, I feel like this company's just getting started, dude. Like this party is literally just getting started. And we got to also keep in mind, and I'm talking to myself right now, wasn't this thing trading at like $40 when they first hit the ground running?
Yeah, in 2021.
So nothing's really, I mean, we're saying when in doubt, zoom out, right? Yeah. So it's essentially they just made a big U-turn, right? That's where they started. This was the best thing since sliced bread, Kathy Wood. And then she probably got out of it because that's what she does. She buys here and sells down here. And then is just essentially done. You know, it's gone back almost to where it was. I think it did all-time highs yesterday or something. I saw a note.
All-time highs
is much better and the numbers are much better.
All-time high is 85, so we haven't hit that yet, but it was new 52-week guys. To Kathy's credit, she bought a ton at 9 and 10, so she is still holding on to a ton of it. But in 2021, it didn't deserve to be, you know, $50 at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the question is, do you think it makes the cut for 2025 in the portfolio, or do you plan to liquidate and just put the cash somewhere else?
No, dude. And when I say liquidate, because I liquidated PayPal recently, that just means that I'll just play it long calls, no shares, and still sell puts and calls against it. Just wouldn't actually have shares.
Gotcha.
And I'll talk about why I cut PayPal in a little bit. I'll just tell you, it's because it didn't pay no premiums. So I was like, well, I still have all the exposure because I bought all the long calls. So I'm still able to bring in the same cover call premium without having to own all of the shares, pay for all the shares up front.
To make that really simple for a lot of the new people as well, you don't only have to sell calls against 100 shares. You can buy a long leap. So you can buy 100 shares of Tesla right now costs 40 grand. You could buy a leap for 15 grand and still capture the same exact premium of selling short dated calls against the leap because it's taking the place of the shares by being a covered call essentially.
Correct. So do you notice anything different about that position, Amit? Because it's been 4 weeks since I was on your channel. 3 weeks.
You had 29 and 30 calls, I think, that you got out of, it looks like.
So what happened was
did you pay the piper?
I took medication right here yesterday because I wanted to be prepared for your show. So I gave back 56,000 and 77,000 on covered calls so I could free up these covered calls for January of 2026. That way these 10,000 shares are free to run, if you will. So there's 10,000 shares, and then we've got 10,000 shares for sale, but then we've got 100 long calls that are unencumbered, or however you want to look at it.
And 100 long calls equals 10,000 shares.
Correct. So essentially we have the exposure of 20,000 shares, but only 10,000 shares are under fire, and they're not really under fire.
Right.
So I took medication there because I didn't want to Palantir this thing all over again. So it's like I saw the writing on the walls. I feel like the numbers are going to be amazing. I'm not sure if Crossroads had covered it or you had covered it, that some numbers had come in and the right, because that's a cool thing about Robinhood is it kind of gives you some metrics along the way, like kind of like the way Tesla does with deliveries and stuff like that. Yeah. So for people like you that are like really into this thing, y'all can kind of piece together earnings almost. Like I've seen you cover Robinhood, and I mean your earnings are off by like 2 or 3%, which is pretty crazy to me. But it just shows how nerdy you are, right? Yeah. That you can put together the whole movie.
Yeah,
because they give you those metrics, and it's pretty awesome. So I don't know. What do you think, dude? I mean, I think it's worthy. Jason Paper Gains was kind of like making a mention of like, why you're so bearish on it in comparison to the other stocks. But it really is just because I didn't buy enough damn shares. I'd be ecstatic if I had gotten 25,000 shares in that $20 range.
Yeah, I feel like that's when we should have bought a lot because this is like, we're managing $1 million out of this 12 million. We should have really loaded the boat. But at the time, again, although we saw the writing on the wall, it was tough, right? Because Hood it already went from 7 to 20. So
yeah. If y'all want to see how bad we misplayed this thing, because you're the one that brought this to the portfolio, right? So this started in April. So this is over here in 17, dude. We're selling 10 contracts at 17. But this was also, Amit, like, just to be fair, when we first started this project, you treated share ownership as an STD. I call it a stock transmitted disease. Like, you didn't want to take ownership of shares. Same thing with Shopify. Remember that whole deal?
Yeah, I remember. I was
So
scared. I was scared to get a
I
fine.
was always the one inching towards share ownership because I know that's where the big alpha is, but you got to be comfortable. But we were experimenting with this whole thing, right? I mean, you're like, shit, this is a lot of money. You had never done it at this scale. And I'm like, dude, like, trust me, if I don't like the trade, we're not taking it on, right? This is the stuff we would talk about off camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like, we're good, dude. Trust me, I'm not going to push a freaking button, and it is not going to be on you. It's on me. We're good. But it took a while to get comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So, we screwed around with this thing, and then I don't even know when it was when we said screw it, and we finally, because then we started selling bigger contracts over here in the $20 range. But at some point, we took ownership of some shares, and
well, our average is 21, right? So we definitely.
So here it is. So on August the 16th, bought 2,500 shares at 1974, and then on August the 16th again, another 2,500 shares. So 100 grand. So imagine if that had been 250 grand. This is $1 million. This will be $1 million position.
Yeah,
because it's up 115% or something crazy. So, and then bought more shares at 22. I mean, y'all are seeing all of it right there. So it gave us opportunities. You had the conviction. I didn't. I just didn't know enough about it. You know what I mean? Like, besides it being a cool app, I didn't really understand like the business metrics and everything that they're trying to do. And now that I've done a little bit of homework on it, I'm like, I feel like I missed the boat a little bit, but
well, 10,000.
But did you really 10 years from now? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you really miss the boat?
That's my question.
Like a bargain.
I feel like this is one to hold for the next 10 years, bro. I mean, like, I feel like, even if we sell aggressive cash cleared puts and get a sign and you get this up to 20, 30,000 shares, I just think and it's going to be volatile because they, Robinhood still trades with the market. But
and I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Their execution is one of the best executions I've seen in the entire stock market. And then on top of that, we got S&P inclusion likely happening by the end of this year. I mean, it would be pretty weird to see them not get included. So I just think the tailwinds are tough, and obviously Bitcoin is a good proxy. The only question is if we have a recession, but if we avoid that,
yeah,
it's a good.
And spot. When are earnings in February?
Yeah, February 12th. Which, look, earnings might not be the best, dude, because although the number is going to be great, the damn thing is run so much, which tends to not be the best for any stock going into earnings.
Right. But didn't Crossroads said that they have year-over-year growth of 100%? What is he talking about? Revenue? What metric was that? I saw a video last night.
It's revenue, and he's correct. The only problem is if Q1 is guided to, grow at less than what the analysts are projecting, then that could be a moment where we saw in October where the thing tanks. They're not going to miss on earnings, but the guidance might not be that amazing. But even besides that, my thing is the thing is up a lot this year already. So just trying to be more humble about it. Going into earnings when you're up 20%, it's tough. You like really got to outperform. You really got to deliver the goods for the market to be like, all right, I guess we'll buy it again. So
yeah, no, I get it. I think one thing that would make sense here, though, is I see these here. I think these are going to be fine, dude. I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't know what is that. A couple $100? What is that? Yeah, $200. I'll probably just take the pressure off for $200. But what it does make sense here, if you guys are in these situations and you want to have the ability to let cover calls run their course a little bit, the way that you take pressure off, you have to have the bankroll. Obviously, this is a capital intensive strategy. I run this like a business and treat it accordingly. Is I would sell cash secured puts right in this area, because then if I sell a cash secured put, let's say at 45 for 2.7, two things cannot be true at the same time. The $48 cover calls and the cash secured puts cannot both be underwater at the same time if they have the same expiration date, if they have different strike prices. So I create a scenario where I'm definitely going to win mathematically one side of the trade and I'll manage the other side of the trade. But it allows you to stay in it longer so you can mitigate some of that tail risk. Because just in layman's terms, I don't want to get too fancy, but essentially these Greeks really pinch at you whenever it's closer to expiration date. So whenever you're kind of like hedging against both sides, because you got the cash secured put and the covered call on at the same time with a little bit of a spread in between, you can create a sweet spot where you could potentially win both sides of that trading. You're juicing up your premiums, but it's capital intensive. But if the goal is to acquire more shares, where you're getting paid a discount to do, you're getting paid money to buy them at a discount to today's prices.
Right. And what you're doing on Hood right here between 48 and 50 is the strangle, meaning
No, those 48 and 50s are just two different strike prices on the covered calls.
Oh, got it. Not the same date.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I wanted to put on a cash secured put. That way I could kind of like offer a little bit of protection. And this is just more peace of mind. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, okay, cool. Let's say I have a cash secured put at 45. And if that cash secured put is under pressure, well, then that means that my $50 cover calls and $48 cover calls cannot be under pressure.
Right. Right.
So you're only going to manage the side that's going against you. The other side is automatically winning. So what do you think about some covered calls there before earnings, just to bring some more money through the door and kind of let these play out?
Oh, on the 100 long. Okay. So if we do covered calls on Hood, this is
No,
what
no, cash secured puts. I'm sorry. Cash secured puts.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I misspoke.
Can we do covered calls though? Can we still?
We can. We could do 100 more covered calls right now.
So I would love to do that, but I would pick the highest strike. It wouldn't be a lot of money, which I know you're not a fan of, but at least it's something.
Yeah. So why don't we look at this? Why don't we look at this guy right here? Because that's before earnings, right?
Yeah.
So then we can do covered calls at say 55. What do you think?
I would go to 60. Nope.
Really? Look at you.
Honestly,
but you know what, dude? Just to be fair, you've been right on this whole thing the whole time. So I mean,
dude, honestly, I would do 65 just because if Bitcoin does pump like crazy, you never know, TJ.
Yeah.
I know you hate it.
I think the best play though, Amit, and if I need to come back on to do like a 5-minute segment on Tuesday, I think the best thing is to wait to see if there really is a Trump pump on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because he's gonna swearing in is it on Monday, right? MLK Day or whatever?
Yeah, Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we'll know. The market will tell us. I see Bitcoin up right there on the screen, $3,500 today.
So yeah, let me ask you this question, because one of the issues I think you had in your portfolio in 2025, which was a good issue to have, is that your 2024 was that your covered calls got hit because they were too aggressive. Is there any learnings that you took from 2024 to say, hey, if I'm really long, and I know your philosophy that if you're really long, you'll sell the covered call, but if you really just don't want to get stuck in that sticky situation, you're going to be a little less aggressive on some of the covered calls, or are you still, no, I need to get my premium and it doesn't matter?
Yeah, real good question. Awesome question, Amit. It depends on how the position is set up, because here, this is the protection that I need to be able to do this right here. Without these long calls, it would be irresponsible of me right now to sell these short calls because there's so many catalysts for SoFi right now.
Right.
So, like, why are you going to play with fire for a few bucks? You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm actually I know that this would be breaking news for you guys, but I'm actually okay with selling 100,000 shares of SoFi right here at 20 bucks. So I don't have that psychological component going on, because I will reallocate that money and go sell cash secured puts on the miners if the Bitcoin plays there, because I feel like I'm going to ultimately get more alpha there. And then now I'm in my wheelhouse. And then Robinhood just last night or the night before has changed the margin requirements on SoFi from 25% to 40%.
Right.
So it doesn't make it as attractive to want to own that many shares. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not.
Yeah. It's more capital efficient, essentially.
Yeah. So that's, I just don't have any, I'm just not stressed out, guys. I'm not stressed out because I've gotten my ass kicked so much. I've learned how to do some things, you know what I mean? And having that insurance to the upside will give me the ability to continue to stay aggressive with cover cost to make sure that I'm hitting my metrics. But at the same time, I've got so much cash available, like this is pretty healthy right now. I'm only using like $400,000 in margin collateral to sell options. I don't own any shares on margin. So there's a lot of money that I could make there just selling cash secured puts. So I don't have to.
And what are your metric? 3% a month? That's what you want to get?
Yeah, I want to get 25% a year. So I got to shoot for like 3%, 3.5%, because I know I'm not going to keep all of that.
Correct. Correct.
You know, I know I'm not going to keep all of that. That's why 60, 70% of the cash secure puts that I sell are going to be in those volatile stocks like CleanSpark and Riot and things like that a lot of people in the audience may not want to touch, and that's okay. But you also have to be okay with not getting the types of returns that I get as well.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants the reward, nobody wants the risk, right? And that's just, those asymmetrical bets are very few and far between in the stock market. They are out there, but they're few and far between.
Can we look at Tesla and how you're
Yeah,
navigating that?
Tesla. This is another one that I'm trying to remedy. Again, this is just, I try to get better, right? So I have the shares here, so that part's good. But then there's covered calls for January of 2027 at $340. So I've already started the remedy process. I've got 10 cash secure puts at 350. So I'm going to keep these on indefinitely until I get 1,000 more shares of Tesla. That's one way that I'm going to try to remedy this situation. And then the other thing that I'm going to do, if I close some long calls or if I sell some SoFi shares for a massive profit, or if I decided to turn Robinhood into just another 200 long calls and go along that way versus owning the shares, because I do believe that it's more capital efficient and I realize some big gains. Well, I have this in my back pocket right here to give back all of that covered call premium right there to offset those gains and then take control of the shares again.
Right.
So this is wheeling 301 and 401. I'm not as scared of covered calls as you guys are, because I use them as tax benefits for myself, because I got a guaranteed tax harvest that I can go find. I don't have to go look for something that's already on the books. This thing's good for $300,000 or $400,000. So I've got the free reign to go make a shitload of money, knowing that I got this in my back pocket right now and I could free up these shares.
And when you free up these shares, you're essentially taking a loss on the covered call, which is good for taxes.
To offset the gains on the other stuff that I've been doing.
Right. Right.
So that's why I like having not that I want to be in this situation. This wasn't intentional. But I'm saying now that I'm here, I'm always looking at the positives and I'm like, okay, well, I have the money to erase that anyway. So it sucks. Yeah. But I'm able to do it. And then now I've got, I'm trying to get to 5,000 shares, and now I've got 50 units of Tesla that are going to be printing a shitload of money, probably $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month. So it wouldn't take me that long to get that money back anyway.
Right.
And I'd have control of the shares again versus kind of being at the mercy of the market, so to speak. And it's counterintuitive because now I find myself at times cheering against Tesla.
Yeah. And I think it's very important for anyone who's getting into wheeling, which is that if you sell a call, there is a chance that a stock can move beyond the call and it can get out of hand. Tesla 340 versus 431 right now. However, mentally, you can't go crazy about it, right? Because if you're going to be in the option selling business, you will get things wrong. First of all, you have to be grateful for the premium you're collecting. And then B, which is what you just said, TJ, you have to ask yourself, do you actually care enough about Tesla to maneuver the situation, or are you okay with letting it go? And that tells you how bullish you really are about the stock long term.
Yeah. And in the worst case scenario, bought the shares for $199 and you end up selling them at $340. There was times where I was underwater in this position. So if you would have talked to me at that time, at that point in time, and said, hey, down the road, you're going to be able to sell these shares at $340, I'd have taken it.
Right.
When it was at like 180, 170, you know what I mean? And I got a cost basis at like 210 or 212 at the time, because I lowered the cost basis by exercising 15 long calls at 150.
Right.
So, you got to always go back to like the original source of the pain, you know what I mean? Versus this opportunity cost that people like to get hung up on. What do you think about Bitcoin, dude? Just insane, huh?
I mean, let's transition to Riot, because that's your Bitcoin play. So how are you navigating that position?
I'm playing it a lot better than I played Palantir. I'll tell you that. Dude, I totally screwed the pooch on Palantir. I could write a book on that, on like what not to do. That'd probably be a best-selling book. So here's Riot. So they've got 150,000 shares. Not the greatest entry point, guys. It looks good right now, but trust me, this entry point should have been in the sixes. I I got caught with 40,000 shares early on at $14. So I've been scrambling ever since, trying to lower the cost basis. So at 8:51, and then I've got 4 open strategies. I've got cover calls at 16 for today. Then I've got cover calls for 16 a week from from today. And then I've got the bulk of the position for sell at $20 this time next year. But I'm also protecting this position over here because I recently bought long calls for $15. And this position ultimately, like the long positions, probably between 50 and 100,000 shares. It's definitely not 150,000. Some of these are like as a swing trade, if you will. I definitely don't want this position to be that big, but I do think that it's going to have a 2 in front of it. Outside chance that it could have a 3 in front of it, depending on how well Riot performs, not just Bitcoin, and then also how they, handle like dilution and stuff, because these miners are notorious for diluting investors. So I'm definitely going to look to lock in some pretty big wins on Riot, but I want to keep it on the book, selling cash secure puts and covered calls as long as it stays under 20. After that, I just won't be comfortable doing it anymore. Like I'll rock with what I have, but I won't be trying to add to it.
And go. How many shares do you have of Riot again? 150. Okay, and you have covered calls at 16 that expire today. So are you going to close those out, or?
Yeah, when it's $200, I don't see it going to 16. So I'm just going to keep $200.
So and you've made $3,000, 3,200 off of.
Yeah, and 11 days.
This is what I like about wheeling. So in 11 days, you had 20,000 shares you put up for sale. Yes. Those 20,000 shares generated you $3,200 in 11 days, which is a phenomenal return based on playing the volatility of a stock that you know so well that you visited the freaking Bitcoin mining operation that they've got going down. So if you really do get into a stock and you understand the volatility of it, there is a lot of money to be made on playing the volatility up or down. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very familiar with Riot. I mean, met the CEO, had him on the channel, and then met him a couple of times in person. And dude, it's a legit operation. It's a tough business, and they're undercapitalized.
Right.
And not just them, the entire mining sector. They need a hyperscaler that can stroke them a $5 or $10 billion check and be like, go to work. They've been on a shoestring budget from day one. So it's just dilution. It's very tough.
Everyone's saying that hyperscalers should put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. What if Meta just put $5 billion into Riot and just like let them, like that would be another way.
Bro, it could happen, dude. If you saw what I saw, Amit, I mean, the thing looks like a hospital, bro. Like how organized and clean. It's like a data center, dude. It's unbelievable. They're so meticulous over there. And I've seen some others. And again, I'm only looking at what I see on the internet, but some of them are mining out of like storage units. You know what I mean? And you go to Riot and you're like, dude, this thing's like super freaking legit. So it's just there's levels to this game, apparently.
Yeah.
Which other one, Amit? Which other one?
Amazon. Let's talk about Amazon.
So this is essentially going to become the cornerstone of the portfolio. Like I want to have that one stock that no matter what's happening in the world, I feel like I got this one part of the portfolio that I don't worry about. I call it a glorified Amazon savings account. And 7,000 shares at 191. So again, not a great entry. I give it like a C on the entry. A good entry would probably be in the $150 range. A great entry would be whenever it was over there like 110, 120. And I was in it, but I sold the shares. So it just shows you how stupid I can be. And I've got these shares for sale at 205. So I'm already underwater on those shares. So I'll be babysitting those for the next 3 to 5 years, maybe more. But the cool thing is I've recently continued buying shares. So I'm at 7,000 shares now. So there's 1,500 shares that are unencumbered. And I'm saving those in my back pocket. That way, whenever I go to roll these, I'll be okay rolling for a debit to increase my strike price because I'll be able to add an additional 15 contracts to that to kind of ease the pain.
Right.
So that's how I'm playing that one. And I'm trying to get it to 10,000 shares. So this will probably be the largest share market value in the portfolio. So it's going to be the cornerstone. It's going to be the pillar. I wanted Tesla to be that pillar because it's my favorite stock in the market. but admit it's just too volatile to do that. Like it's not. That's just not.
You can sleep well at night with Amazon being the pillar of the portfolio.
And I don't even know that much about them. You probably know a lot more about them than I do, but I feel like they make money 3 or 4 or 5 different ways, and I like that. And it's Amazon, bro. I mean, my wife keeps them in business, and that's not even the part of the business that makes the money. You know?
That part of the business is starting to make money, which is the scary part about Amazon. How big can they get, right?
Yeah. So there's that, and then
yeah. So let's go to the cash grabs now, because I think you have some of those.
yeah. So the other ones that I got is so we talked about the 4 horsemen, right? Hood. I do think we need to sell some cash secured puts on Hood.
I'm down for that. I'm down.
Yeah. So let's do that now, though. So we can.
Do you think today's the right day because it's green?
It don't matter, bro. You know, somewhere along the way, somebody say you sell puts on green day, sell puts on red days and calls on green days, and it's stuck.
That's true. It did stick.
That's what I call. I'm gonna write a book one day, and it says wheeling when it's sunny and 75, ideal conditions. Well, you know what? You're not gonna make a lot of money. Okay, this is what I call a setup trade. This is not ideal conditions. I'm just putting the trade on for other reasons. I'm hoping it comes under pressure, and then I'll manage it and I'll roll it, and then I'll get the premium that I was really looking for. Because it's not sunny and 75. It's sunny and 75 for covered calls, but it could really not be, because Donald Trump's gonna wave his little bitty hands, and you know, MAGA and Bitcoin, and this thing's gonna go to freaking 55, and we'll be in trouble. So I just think we're better off waiting there. But I feel like if you think that it's going to go up, there's catalyst up. Well, you should be very comfortable selling cash puts here and cash grabbing. So I mean, I feel like there's a lot of flaws in those and the logic sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a very fair point.
So how many are you thinking? 50 or so? Because what would 50 get us close to 1 million or no?
Well, real quick, before we answer that, let me just share this real quick, because we got a tweet from our boy Vlad. This guy about how to pick on Hood.
That's bullish.
And he said this guy in December said 4 days left until Christmas. Please tell Vlad I will tattoo the Robinhood logo on my arm if you get me off the gold card wait list. I guess he got off the wait list. And then Vlad asked today, maybe I should get one. What do you think? I think yes. I think
is he a good old boy? Does he even have tattoos? I mean,
I think Vlad got that dog in him, bro. I think Vlad would do it. Jensen has one. I think Vlad should do it. That would be fun. That would be fun if he does it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to meet him. He seems like a real cool dude.
Dude, he's the coolest guy ever. He's so.
How tall is he? A big dude or no? He looks small.
He's like 6'1", 6'2". Oh, I'm small. That's why he looks.
Wow, dude, I claim 5'8". I think I'm 5'7.5" on a good day.
Yeah, I'm 5'8" with the boots, but
yeah. Hey, well, how's your weight, Amit? Because you look super skinny in Vegas, and then you packed on some Thanksgiving weight.
Oh no, it's been a year-long journey putting on weight. My goal is to lose about 30 pounds this year. I'm good. I'm down like 3 pounds to start of January, but I think a lot of that's water weight. That's not like real. So but we're good. We're eating good. That's the most important thing. Going to the gym. I know you're on a weight loss journey too, right?
Yeah, I'm losing about 1.5 pounds per week, and I'm doing the whole Rocky thing. I'm not taking injections. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I was on was it GLP-1 or whatever, the Mounjaro?
Yeah.
But dude, I was golfing and I got super lightheaded and I had to take a knee. And it was happening like a couple of times. Like I would get out of bed and then I had to like put my hands on my knees to keep from falling over. So I think it was really messing with the blood sugar levels because I'm not diabetic. And I think it's designed for people that are diabetic, perhaps. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, this shit doesn't work. I just need to stop eating stupid shit and do all the stuff that I know how to do and be disciplined. So I'm doing the Rocky willpower, bro. That's all I'm doing right now.
Yeah, call me old fashioned, but unless you actually have a medical necessity, I think just doing the hard work is the most rewarding way to lose weight.
Yeah. Dude, I'm good at weights. Like I could do weights, but the issue is like doing calisthenics. So I I'm doing this thing, this 300, where the first thing I do is just 300 reps, whether it's like air squats, push-ups, whatever. So yesterday I was like, okay, I'm going to change it up and I'm going to do like 100 push-ups and I'm not going to get off the mat until I do 100 push-ups. Dude, it took me like 4 minutes to log 100 push-ups. Dude, I got so fatigued, bro.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, this sucks. I could have done that like in 2 sets of 50 when I was younger.
Right.
It took me 10 sets of 10, dude, and resting like 10 or 15 seconds in between sets. You know what I mean? Like I got fatigued very quickly.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it the right way. That's what matters. So we have 10,000 shares. I think 50, another 50 contracts is not horrible.
Yeah. So what are you thinking? Like 45-ish, 44? How big do you want the spread to be, so to speak?
Yeah. So this is where it's hard, right? Because we were at 44 2 days ago. So is 44 support? I wouldn't say it's support.
Who cares about the sharp, bro? If it goes against us, we'll roll it. People complicate all this shit. I don't need the Bollinger. I don't need anything right now. Where do you want to sell the cash and Kurt? But we're gonna manage the position. Keep it simple, bro. Keep it simple.
We might as well do 45 then. I feel like.
Yeah, that's all good. I say if you're cash grabbing, dude, you might as well get caught stealing all $100 in the cash register. Why are you going in there trying to steal a 2 or 3? It's the same felony. So,
well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. We are our average is 21. So worst case, we're not going to buy the shares at 45. But if we did have to, I mean, it's not like our average is going to the moon.
It pumps us to about 30, probably. I'm not sure.
Let's do the math. So 5,000 times 45 plus 10,000 times, call it 22. I'll call it 22. Divided by 15,000 is 29.
Yeah.
Which I don't hate.
It's not horrible.
It's the price of not loading up when it was cheap, right?
Yeah, you know, if you didn't love it at 20, you should love it at 40, right?
Yeah, it's just, well, here's the thing. The only way we're wrong here is if the Bitcoin pump turns into a Bitcoin dump after all the news, aka it becomes a sell the news.
Oh, bro, it won't be the first time I've been wrong, bro. We'll be okay, man. You're overthinking it, dude. So 225 grand, yeah, whatever. All right, cool.
Well, so to do the math for the audience, 225 minus 7.5 means we're actually spending 217 divided by 5. So our cost base would be 43 on the 43.5 on the shares.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah, 43.5. If we get assigned.
It should happen right here, I would think. There it is.
All right. There you go. We are in the game for 45. If we get
but so what it does, this is a psychological trade, right? For me. So what it does is I no longer have to look at those 48s. Because I'm more focused on the 45. And I know that if the 45 is getting challenged, the 48 cannot be getting challenged. But I know if the 45 is printing, I'm like, oh shit, what's going on with that 48? Is it time to roll? Right.
Right.
So it just put another radar on the books for me. So
is there any percentage return alpha doing a strangle, or is it all psychological for you doing the strangle?
No, dude. I try to get 25% on the cover call side, and I'm always shooting for 30% on the cash secure put. How did we do on the cash secure put? I didn't do the math, but it looked good because I've sold plenty of $45 puts, and it feels like we're right in there.
3.2%.
Yeah, it's not horrible, right? And what amount of time? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So just do the math, dude. Where are you going to go get 3.2% on your money, presuming that it works out on your money in 3 weeks? It's just, I'm just saying, it's a little bit insane. And you're getting paid to buy it at a discount to today's prices. Now, is $45 a good deal for Robinhood? People are going to argue back and forth on that one. I'd say that it's not right now. It could prove to be a steal of a deal 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of this in investing that makes it less complicated for me in my mind is just, what's your time horizon? Because
also,
go ahead.
My thing is, someone's buying that $48 call, which is great. But if Robinhood didn't get there, right, or $55 call, whatever, I'm just more comfortable being the casino. That's the philosophy I've learned from this. That's way more practical to me. There should be some parts of the portfolio that are super leveraged against an asymmetric bet via call options, which I did last year on Robinhood. But then I think that should be a tiny part of the portfolio. The other parts of the portfolio should be selling drugs to the crackheads and getting away with it, not being the junkie, which is what you're doing right here.
So can you do it to where it's just us, the little... Dude, that's a really, really good point, Amit. here's the thing. On a short-term basis, it is definitely much more lucrative and safe to be the casino, to sell options. It's like 30, 45 days out. But if you're talking about like a year and a half out, I think you can make some calculated bets and buy some options, kind of like the way that you built your bankroll. Because let's just be honest, right? You built your bankroll with the debits credits that Chris.
Correct. 100%. 100%.
So that's definitely being the gambler, not the casino. You know what I mean? So there's a time and a place for everything, right? You know, for those of y'all that might be.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The time and the place for that Hood debit spread was at $7. But I'm not cocky enough to be like, well, I think now that Hood's at 48, it'll go to 60. Let me do some more spread. Like, no, I don't. I feel like you're chasing at that point. You could be right, but you're still chasing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I bought some leaps here recently on SoFi, but I feel like SoFi hasn't had their hood moment since 21.
They have not. They have not.
And I think that it's going to be the fifth quarter of GAAP profitability. The S&P inclusion is on the horizon. I personally think it's going to be about 18 months away. That's just in the camp that I am. I look at market caps. I look at, okay, what stocks have gotten included? What did they have going on? I just feel like SoFi doesn't have enough to offer the S&P right now. That's just me, right? Now you go hit some metrics. They grow their revenue, 40, 50%, things could change. But like, I think Robinhood definitely has a legit chance for S&P inclusion, and that could probably happen within 6 months. Because when's the next one? Is in March? Is that when they announce in March?
Yeah.
So I don't think it happens for them then. I think it'll be the next time they did a little reshuffling.
Yeah, I think it'll be December on the late end, and it might not happen this year, but we know it's coming. That's the good thing, right? And so,
very likely, very likely that it's coming. So there's that one, dude. Other than that, I don't see anything else, Amit. The only thing that I have here is I just have a bunch of swing trades that are going very, very well. Like CleanSpark is one that I knew was going to print, but that was just that's the max that I think I'm okay with, just psychologically on a swing trade. So I bought 25,000 shares and I put them up for sale at $12.50 for next Friday. So those are definitely going to get under pressure. And I'm probably just going to be okay letting them go and realizing a nice win of about 60 grand on the shares.
So I'm happy. I'm happy you said that, because this is one of those moments where you don't really give a shit about CleanSpark.
I wasn't in it. I wasn't in it. And I've already made $250,000 on CleanSpark selling cash secured puts. And that's exactly what I have right here. I still have 400 cash secured puts at $8. So another 40,000 shares potentially. And I'm already up 64% on those. And this is just the way that I like to play this stock. So I feel like I could go make another 50, 60, 100 grand over here without having to own the shares. But I feel like I took a shortcut with this swing trade, took a calculated gamble, tied up $250,000 to make a quick 60. Plus this is already the second or third round of covered calls. So if it goes to like 13 or even 14, if I don't feel like messing with it, or if I feel like potentially there could be a pullback, I don't want to be in this trade. I want to lock in the win. And I think when you're just emotionally unattached, you're just playing the math and you're not looking at the opportunity cost. Well, it went at 14. And I'm like, okay, cool. You're still in CleanSpark? And they're like, yeah. And then it comes back to 13. I'm like, well, show me where you sold it at 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just like all that opportunity cost, bro. Like, to me, that's just nonsense talk. Because unless you're legitimately going to like be able to pull the trigger and sell those shares right at the right time, which I just don't believe you. I just don't play that game. I just know that I'm not that good. So I use cash secure puts and cover calls as a little bit of a buffer to help me out.
What do you, okay. So that's everything on the portfolio. Let me just ask you a question in general about the markets. So 2 questions. First was Bitcoin. Do you think this thing is at like 150 end of year, or do you think it tanks? How are you thinking of the asset?
Yeah, real good question, dude. There's never been this much big money in Bitcoin.
Agreed.
So Bitcoin's what, about 15, 16 years old now? Didn't just have an anniversary on Halloween. The white paper was written on Halloween several years ago. and BlackRock's in it. You talk about the government now potentially wanting to do some sort of reserve. You got countries like El Salvador, where I think it's like that's kind of like their version of the US dollar over there now, I guess. I don't know, dude. The phenomenon that I don't fully grasp. I don't think anybody does. There's people that just claim that they do, and I'm okay with it. I do think that it's going to go to probably 150,000, maybe more this cycle. But I think that also the pullbacks, like the crypto winters or whatever they've been referred to, the bear markets, I don't think they're going to be nearly as vicious because there's so much big money on it. And then there's a Bitcoin mining mafia that I follow on X. So this lady Bitcoin Bella was talking about how there's a lot of money, a lot of Bitcoin leaving the exchanges. And then she keeps doing these little rocket emojis, but I'm not exactly sure what it all means. But all I know is that I can make a shitload of money with the miners, right? So I stay in my little lane. So I don't know. I feel like I'm not even qualified to talk about Bitcoin from the standpoint of I don't think anybody here can tell me why it's worth any money, right? So you can't tell me who Satoshi Nakamoto is either. So shut up. I'm thankful that it exists. It's been a real nice asset class for us, and I think it's here to stay. I think it's already proven that, it's got a little ticker on CNBC that is on 24/7. And to me, when that happened a few years ago, that was the staying power that I thought that I needed in my mind for Bitcoin.
Okay, then second question is overall markets. I mean, selling puts is really good when the market goes up. Are you afraid we're too overextended in this market?
Yeah, so a lot of people say that selling puts only works in a bull market, right? Let's do it. We're just talking. This is a good conversation. So are you telling me that owning shares only works in a bull market? Because I'm getting paid to buy these shares at a discount. So what are we saying? The minute that we enter into a bear market, we're going to time it like me, Kevin, and sell everything? I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, you're an investor or you're a trader? I think you have to define who you are in the market. So I'm going to always sell puts and calls and collect premium, and I'm going to roll when it makes dollars and cents. I think the biggest thing that I am guarding against right now, though, is just my position sizing. That's like, I didn't go crazy and do 200 cash secure puts on Robinhood right now because we know that it's not a good deal.
Yeah. Yep.
In comparison to what we were getting.
Correct.
Right? Because I mean, what is everything investing or whatever, everything money's always saying that investing is the present value of all future cash flows. Or you pay today for what you think is going to be worth tomorrow. So 5-10 years down the road, if we get assigned those shares at 45, we're probably not sweating it with Robinhood. But that attitude doesn't give you a license to be reckless with your portfolio today. If you can go get those shares at 35, maybe you should be disciplined to pick up those shares at 35 or 25 if the market gives you that. So I use cash secure puts to build positions, And when I already have positions, I use cash secure put and cover call premiums just to lower the adjusted cost basis. And that's all that I'm doing right now with the portfolio because I already found my 5.
Right.
So I'm just selling puts and calls and bringing money through the door because at some point I want to look at the balance sheet and see that the premiums outweigh the money that was spent on the shares. And now I'm free rolling with other people's money. So it takes a lot of the stress off of me psychologically for owning so many shares on these companies.
Let me ask you this question. What is your method? Because I think, and this will be the last question, then I'll let you get out of here. I think a lot of people also wonder, how do I find a stock to wheel? And sometimes it comes up on X, sometimes it's YouTube, sometimes Chris might text you or something like that. But if you could find out, like, let's say you're looking at XYZ stock, literally ticker symbol XYZ, not Square, but XYZ.
It's going to be Square, right?
It's going to be Square. That says, hey, you can get a 4.2% return in 45 days on a 0.35 delta. Before even knowing what the stock is, would you be interested to then at least like click that link or whatever and then see what's the name to do some fundamental research? And is that how you get into these names?
Yeah. So dude, you're on point with the questions today. The very first thing that I look at when somebody gives me a ticker is the options chain. Because it starts with the options chain for me, and then it's going to end with the options chain. So if the options chain is juicy, then I'm going to go through my research, my M's, the moat, the management, the market, et cetera. Do they have money? I go through my little fundamental analysis. I crunch some numbers. after I've listened to 3 or 4 earnings reports, I have this intrinsic value calculation that I come up with, plus or minus 20% accuracy. And then I'm like, okay, can I manufacture the win here? Because that's the biggest M for me, is can I manufacture the win?
Right.
And if I think that I can manufacture the win based on the amount of money that I'm willing to allocate to the position, then I'll likely dance with it. But yeah, it's very, very important to know what kind of money are you going to get on your money? What is your cash on cash return for even entertaining a position with this company? And then obviously you look at those basic things, right? Open interest and volume. That's just Wheeling 101. You want to make sure you're dealing with liquidity. I want to make sure it's a 1 cent stock, not a 5 cent stock, meaning it trades in 1 cent increments. I don't want to deal with companies that trade in 5 cent increments, because it's just like you close it out at 50% or 90%. It's the same shit. Usually at 5 cents, it's more managing for me.
Right.
So I don't like dealing with those particular stocks. So yeah, dude, it starts and ends with the options chain for me if I'm going to enter the position via a cash secured put.
Yeah.
When I'm going to buy the shares, that's a lot different. I've already been eyeballing this company, and I want to start with the coverage triangle, right? I want to own the shares. I'm going to immediately sell cover calls against those as a hedge to the downside, because I don't think I picked the bottom. And then I'm also going to sell some cash secured puts, and I'm running this thing. So everybody like looks at the wheel as an individual spoke, and I look at, like, I have like 3 wheels going at the same time on the same ticker.
Yeah, and I think wheeling, to be honest, at some level, it's also like, it's accepting humility, right? Because most people think buy and hold forever, which is, again, good for 99% of people. But if you're trying to like use it as income, you will likely be wrong on the entry price every time.
Facts.
Like every time, unless I magically get this Tesla 391 bottom when I bought it on Monday, which is probably not going to happen. Like it's really, really tough. So wheeling and selling a put says, okay, I think at 375 Tesla's a good deal. It might go to 350. It might go back up to 450. I think Tesla doesn't get to 500. It might go to 550. It might stay at 420. Like, it's just accepting you're going to be wrong, but at least you can make some money on the volatility of being wrong. And a lot of times you can manufacture it to end up being right over the long term.
Yeah, I think that's a very well said, Amit. I've said on the channel a lot of times that I have accepted a long time ago that I cannot pick a bottom or a top to save my life.
Yep.
So I need that margin of error. I need that margin of safety, so that I don't have that kind of pressure. Like, I don't have to be right now. I saw this cash secured put on Hood. We didn't look at any technicals. I didn't give a shit. I don't care if it challenges it. I will manage it. Yeah. You know, it's invest, then investigate, right? So it's just, again, like, I have a 401k mentality because that's how I got my first million.
Yeah.
So wait, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you've ever investigated anything in the market whenever they're about to pull money on the 15th and the 1st from your paycheck to put into your 401k, because you're just no-brainer investing. So I just think people overthink and overcomplicate things. I'm just a real keep it simple kind of guy, bro. I don't need to be the smartest man in the room. That is not my mission in life. I'm trying to be the richest. I'm very clear on my objective, and I'm very clear on my mission, right? You want to sound smart, and you want to have all of these little things that you do because that's just the way that you want to portray yourself. That's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, you got to try to get a good entry point. So you have to figure out how to value these companies. You got to be in them long enough to be able to manufacture the win. So you need conviction. And I think that that's the thing that I have going for me, is I have a pretty good temperament when things aren't going my way. And then when they are going my way, I don't get all crazy either.
Right.
You know, like, I'm not like, all like, oh my God, 12 million, 34, you know, like, I don't go crazy. I'm like, okay, cool. I know this shit could be 10 million with a couple of pullbacks, right? Like, let's just be realistic. When you own a bunch of shares of a certain stock, it doesn't take much for it to go the other way too. I've been there before.
Well, that's also, I think you've been desensitized to big numbers up, big numbers down. I mean, we've all, you know, seen it like that.
It does affect you, dude, because I do a little sports betting here and there for entertainment purposes, and bro, a little $300 or $500 bet, dude, I can't even bring myself to watch the game. You know what I mean? I'm just like, why am I sitting here for 4 hours, yo, for a freaking little outcome like this? And that's where the market just feels like it's monopoly money.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, dude. Keep doing your thing, dude. I haven't had a chance. I haven't been on YouTube too much, and then I created a job, right, with the memberships, because I do all these FaceTimes now with the members, and love it, dude. I've been getting to know the people, and I'm really, really excited about it. But can you talk to me a little bit? I heard that you're going on a tour. I am going to be in New York for my birthday in a couple weeks.
So I'm going literally on a tour tomorrow. First of all, everyone, please make sure to follow TJ on Twitter, who is now at how many? 20. Dude, TJ, you were at like 1,000 8 months ago. So that's a nice 25x on the Twitter following. So please make sure to follow him on Twitter. Yeah, I'm going to New York tomorrow doing a meetup. We're going to go bar crawling. I think there's like 90 people in the group. So, maybe 10 people, 20 people show up. Maybe a lot of people show up. We'll see. Whoever shows up, I'll be there. It'll be fun. And yeah, I'm going to be in Texas, and I'm going to hit up you, Roy, Matt Money. We got to start something probably April, May.
Very cool. Are you going to try to do Houston, or because in the Matt Money and Roy are in Houston?
Yeah,
it's only an hour flight for us.
Yes, I think Houston is where everyone's at, and that way you could come. But there's also people in Dallas, so I think I might make a week of it and do Houston for the first 3 days, Dallas for the next 4 days. Like, we'll see what it looks like.
So you're just road tripping all month? Is there just a reason behind it, or you're raising cash for something? Like, is there like another agenda, or what are you doing?
No, it's a new state every month. That's the goal. And the summer it'll be a couple countries. I think of myself as someone who's in the early stages of building a brand. And I think a lot of people, when they get the opportunity where they actually have people that want to meet and talk to you and, just take a picture and just say why they consume your content, you want to meet them in person. And so I think of like, if you're a musician and someone's listening to your first album and you're so grateful they actually listen to you and they like your songs, you want them to keep playing your songs forever. So I kind of just want to meet people for the first time, and we're going to do it the whole year. And then if you're going to come in New York in February, we could do something as well.
Yeah. I've already got permission from my wife. She'll give me one day to do a Wheelers meetup. So I'm doing my first Wheelers seminar in person in Miami in June or July, maybe August.
Maybe. Okay, I'm definitely going to be there if it's Miami.
Yeah, it's going to be at the Waldorf.
That's a hotel, right?
Yeah, it's a Waldorf Astoria.
All right.
So it'll be cool. It'll be cool. Hopefully the book will be done by then. And I got like a lot of shit that I'm giving away to the whole wrench squad, because I got to start taking these wrenches away from everybody on the channel. So so it'll be cool. So all the wrench squad, there's not going to be no entry fee or anything. I think the whole thing's probably going to cost me like 15, 20 grand or so. I'm going to do a catered lunch, the whole thing.
It'll be worth it. But
it'll go through the slideshow, but all that aside, it's just to break bread and get to know the community like in a more intimate level. And then if we can piece some money together, I can obviously fit the bill too, is I want to rent like a yacht and do like a little yacht, like after party, like for 15, 20 people that want to go.
Yeah.
Depending on I don't know what they go for. You only do it for a few hours.
Well, I think in this business, which is content creation, the most important thing is people, right? Like if you're creating content, the whole point of creating content is to interact with people. I mean, if people aren't here watching, for the 2,000 people that are here, we're so grateful. Getting a chance to meet them in person is important, I think, if you're going to, keep building content. So
yeah, no, for sure, dude. Because I'm practicing this year. I'm hoping by next year I'll get good at the Wheeler seminars in person, and I want to do one a quarter. I just want to get to know people in different, parts of the country and stuff, because I'm launching a much larger hedge fund and stuff. So at some point there'll be a capital raise and all that stuff.
Chris set to call him, so let me get him on the show. Chris, what's up?
Nothing much, man. What's up, TJ? How you doing, man?
How are you? Happy New Year, brother. Everything good?
Yeah, man. Happy New Year. I'm glad you're doing well on the Mara thing. The Mara hedge fund trade is working really well for a lot of people. So I'm happy to see that constantly going back and forth. Yeah.
Volatility, bro. Volatility is our friend.
That's right. The one I was going to say you should look at is Nubank. And I know I'm going to put it out there with everyone. I know you have personal reservations. You don't have to go on.
No, it's just because Kristen keeps talking about how nice and good looking fucking David is. I'm tired of hearing it, bro.
No, man, come on. Never let money get in the way of
I got a lot of insecurities I'm dealing with over here, Chris.
For those that don't know what he's talking about, the CEO of Nubank is
dude,
college with TJ's wife.
Put him on the screen, dude. He's a handsome fellow, and Kristen said he's like a super nice, humble guy too. She went to school with him at Stanford.
Yeah, but he's married, bro.
It doesn't matter, dude. Have you seen him? And he's a billionaire. Shut up. Leave me alone. Look at that. Dude, come on. Look at him. Look at me, bro. I don't want him nowhere near Kristen.
No, Chris, it is, dude. If TJ had to report to his wife that he's making millions off Nubank, because his wife knows all of his trades, you know that. I mean, that's gonna be annoying,
bro. This thing is undervalued, dude. Because I think is it Latin America is like they were under like some pressure or something, and they thought that Nubank wasn't going to perform. But there's so many people like Chris just started doing the DD, but who is it? Is it? I don't want to say it's Tanner. Dude, I've seen like a lot of stuff that Tanner's put out. I think that a data-driven investing has done like a lot of stuff on Nubank as well, and this company's growing like way faster than SoFi, dude. Like this is like major leagues compared to SoFi as far as the growth and everything else. So,
I mean, one of the things is it's much larger market cap. They're also going with a lot of TAM. I think the one thing that people are really, really underappreciating is the level of expansion that they have in Mexico.
Yeah.
And they are just innovating the shit out of Latin American finance. So, I mean, some of the valuations could definitely like use a bit of a pullback. But I mean, with this whole dollar pulling back, Nubank became a really good thing. So I actually built up a nice little position on it. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, definitely, if you can get over the whole David Velez thing, Nubank is the perfect stock to begin.
Dude, I just created that storyline because it was funny. Because like true story, there was messages between him and my wife on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And this is like jealous boyfriend situation. Kristen and I first got together, and Kristen's like, "Oh my God, David, congratulations on all your success." And that's all I needed, bro. So I started Googling this motherfucker. And I was like, "Oh, never invest in that company." And that's how it happened, dude. But Kristen has never had any interactions with him of that kind. They were just acquaintances in college, econ majors. And he comes from a very well-to-do family and stuff. Real good dude by all accounts. Kristen has been telling me about this company for a couple of years, and she's like stop being an idiot, you know, like it's a company to invest in. So yeah, I'll probably open a swing trade on it soon and just make my peace with good old David.
By the way, hoodie breaking out 48.15. Those putts, they're working, TJ.
I'm glad we didn't sell those covered calls, yo. You have anything else? Amit? I'll definitely open a position on Nubank because it is. I mean, at these levels, I don't know how much longer it's going to stay at these levels. And in 3 to 5 years, this thing's just. I mean, it's already a juggernaut, but it's going to get even bigger.
Yeah. One thing I want to clarify with the audience. See, me and TJ, we're like Pokemon Red and Blue. Okay, we're both basically the same game, but we're playing it different ways.
Yeah.
So I'm of course going to be a little bit critical of TJ's way of doing things, and TJ's going to be critical of the way I do things. But essentially, we both make a crap ton of money. Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of total return, I'm doing better though. But you know, that's just me saying it.
Well, I don't know how to do those damn debit spreads, dude. You gotta go. I'm gonna have to host you at my house for like a week, and I'm gonna get my learn on, fool.
Well, no, I think TJ is going for income. Chris is going for, I guess, pseudo alpha.
Wealth creation. I don't have the level of money that TJ does. I'm doing well, but not TJ well. So I gotta get my returns juiced up way more. You know?
Yeah, like TJ has a substantial amount of money. Chris is not there yet. So I think there's a different ball game. When you're going for wealth, you get more risky. When you're going to preserve the wealth, grow it hopefully against the S&P like TJ, like more than the S&P, you know, you do different strategies. Like
but I just feel like sometimes like in the chat, I feel like people try to create these narratives like we don't like each other and all that stuff. Like I've had the pleasure of meeting Chris in person, and he had a polo jacket on, so y'all know that I liked him right away, you know.
Look, one of the things is like all of us, whether or not we have disagreements, we don't break up over our disagreements. We actually like each other. You know, we'll disagree, but we'll be cool with it. Like me, Amit, all of these guys, we hung out in Vegas. We haven't hung out since. We definitely got to make that happen. And so whenever you do go to Tech Summit, let me know. I don't know how you're going to get there. Are you going to get the autopilot to drive you there?
No, I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly there.
Fly, right? Yeah. So let me know. I'll meet you up in Texas because we definitely have to do more research on that because that kid See, a lot of
Hey,
people.
do you guys golf or no? Not at all. I know that the Top Golf we didn't do well. But I'm talking about like an actual golf course,
I would rather chew glass than actually golf.
bro. It's because there's a in Houston, or I think it's an Humble. It's with an H, but somehow they call it Humble.
Dude, golf is so boring. I know I'm
Bro, there's this course. It's called the Tour 18, and it's 18 the replicas of like the most popular courses, and I'm not sure in the world, but in the country. And it's just absolutely awesome. But I mean, if you don't golf, you don't golf. I don't golf either. I mean, I go out there, I'm a hacker, but I'm not good at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just a driving range guy, so I'll just go and hit the ball. And once in a while, I'll do some putting. So my partner with that is my father-in-law because he got me into it.
Nice.
Eventually, we will go golfing. But I grew up in New York, so New York we don't exactly have a lot of golf courses that we can.
Yeah, y'all have those double. Y'all had Top Golf before it was Top Golf. Y'all those double and triple decker driving ranges. And another thing, just so that y'all know, like if y'all ever make it to the Rio Grande Valley, my father-in-law does own a golf course, so we can always go golfing here as well. And it's
Nice.
the nicest one that there is in South Texas.
You know, we really should we really should check out the Rio Grande Valley. There's so many companies moving to Texas, but more importantly, all along the coast there's first of all, there's SpaceX. I really want to check out like a SpaceX rocket launch. TJ, have you gone yet? Seen one yet?
No, I haven't seen it, and it's literally less than an hour away. So that's definitely something I got to get more excited about. Dude, I got 20,000 shares of Rocket Lab, and I've never listened to 5 seconds of an earnings call, bro.
Yeah. South Texas, man. There's a lot of opportunities down there. You know, me and what's his name, Matt, we're talking about buying some land down there. Believe it or not, you know, that's the one thing God's not making any more of. So if you see that there's a lot of development happening around there, maybe it's time to buy up some land, TJ.
Yeah, well, my brother-in-law, that's what he does. He's a developer, so there's definitely a ton of money in it. It's a long game. It's very capital intensive, but there's a lot of money to be. You know, he builds entire subdivisions, and there's a shitload of money in it. But it's a lot of. I mean, for me, it's just so much easier to sell cash secured puts and cover costs.
Yeah, the stock market can make you rich, but owning real estate is what makes you wealthy.
Yeah, well, then you have the tax benefits as well, dude. It seems like they were written on purpose for those people, right? Whereas over here, it just seems like we're trying to manufacture losses on purpose at times, depending on how the
TJ, I did not know short-term gains from option selling were taxed at 30% freaking percent. You did not tell me that when we got into this.
It's ordinary income. It's ordinary income.
You didn't tell me it was ordinary income in March when we started this.
And you don't forget, you live in Jersey, so you got to pay Jersey state taxes too. That's why you got to pull what's his name, Jeremy, and move to like a no or low tax state.
Dude, I don't want to leave the East Coast, but like Florida's not looking crazy with this. Like this is wild, bro.
Yeah, Florida. There's a lot of people that they live in Puerto Rico because they don't have cap gains over there, I believe.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. The whole 6 months in Puerto Rico and that, like, I think it's too much stress unless you really love Puerto Rico. Just for the tax benefit, I feel like that's doing a lot, you know, in terms of quality of life.
Yeah, there's a gentleman, one of my very first clients, Mike Reese. He lives over, and it's just like the Paul kids, Jake Paul and Paul. I don't know what his name is. The other guy, Logan, maybe. They're his neighbors at some place in Puerto Rico.
Dude, they're there for 6 months, and then the next 6 months they're in LA. They
literally are there. They save a fortune on taxes, though.
That is true.
And this place in Puerto Rico, I haven't been, but he sent me videos and stuff. Dude, this place is like legit nice.
No, Puerto Rico's beautiful. It's nice. I'm just saying, if you only move there to save on the taxes, I feel like it's like you really got so many taxes that you're just like that afraid, right? Because you're ruining the quality of your life. All your friends and family are not in Puerto Rico. You know, they're probably in your hometown. So.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, Kristen and I have the freedom to do something like that, but I'd rather just pay taxes and live in this beautiful country of ours. But not, I don't know.
I wouldn't mind moving to Texas. I was stationed in Texas in San Antonio. I love the state.
What part? Which one? Lackland or which one were you in?
No, I was in Sam Houston.
Oh, Sam Houston, right on Fort Sam.
Yeah, I was stationed at Fort Sam for about a year. Yeah,
Yeah, I lived in San Antonio off and on for like 20 years.
nice. Yeah, man. I have a lifetime ban at Joe's Crab Shack on the Riverwalk. Trust me, I have a bunch of stories. Bro. We used to get fucked up, and we'd all end up at this one bar called Mad Dogs. I don't know if it's still there. You know, it was right on the Riverwalk. It was awesome.
Yeah, Mad Dogs is still there.
I'll end it on this super chat. Thank you to Osama for the $10. He says, I've been watching the streams for a while. Thank you for the great content. Would you guys be down to compare Nubank and SoFi? Maybe we do that, Chris, on a stream, all three of us, like to really develop the thesis.
Bring in Tanner. Bring in Tanner too, man.
Yeah, dude, he's nerdy on both of these. Well, obviously SoFi, but he's real nerdy on Nubank as well.
Bro, I still remember the first time I spoke to him about Nubank. Like Tanner's eyes, they just like widened. I was like, oh my god, the finance bro is just in love now. So he's been on it. He loved it.
All right, so guys, we'll do that. We'll schedule a 4-person stream, hopefully for next week, maybe on like a Saturday, and we'll try to break down Nubank and SoFi.
Will you be back in? So you're in Jersey, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm going to New York tomorrow.
You think you might be able to link up for a quick bite or something, or a pizza somewhere while I'm in town? I'll be in town for like 4 or 5 days, I think.
When are you coming?
2nd through the 7th.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect, dude. Come to my house, dude. I'll text you. We'll set something up.
TJ, definitely look at Nubank for a reversal right now. It's still in play, but it'll get that reversal once some earnings comes out. So definitely check out Nubank.
Hold on, dude. Let me just pick up a couple of shares real quick.
Okay.
I already hearing about.
I didn't require a lot of convincing.
Chris, you know how convincing your voice is.
Is it really?
It's that sexy voice, bro.
But I'll take it. I thought it was the track record that did it.
It's that sexy voice, Chris. There we go, dude. We're in there. We're in Nubank.
All right, hold on, Chris. How many shares do you think TJ just bought?
I hope not that many. I don't know, bro. The thing is, like, I don't mind losing my own money. I just hate having other
bro. I'll manufacture the win, dude. I know too much about it.
Guess. How many do you think he bought? Guess. How many do you think?
1,000.
Come on, bro. This TJ.
20,000? Did he buy 20,000 shares?
No, he bought 10,000.
10,000. Okay, there you go. So high, low, meet in the middle.
Oh, I mean, dude, I know Chris has done research, so there's money to be had. I want to make sure I make some of it.
Dude, your wife's gonna know about this now, TJ. You better be ready.
She's probably texting David right now. Shit, and getting me all jealous.
I'm telling you, this is such. To me, this is such.
I mean, bro. I mean, don't I have a reason though? I mean, look at this dude. I mean, and then on top of that, he's polite and courteous and wealthy. Went to a freaking amazing school. I mean, come on, dude. And he's got a full head of hair and skinny.
But okay. Let's say you guys went to a party and he was there. Do you really think she would leave you for this guy? I mean,
no, dude. But Kristen's friendly, bro. I'm sure they know each other from college. I'm sure there'll be hugs and stuff. And I'll be seeing whether or not he's like the small of her back and shit. I'll be all freaked out.
He doesn't seem like a Mr. Steal Your Girl kind of guy, man. You know, I mean, he probably got like Brazilian girls throwing themselves at him, bro. I think you're fine.
Well, now if you make money off this, Kristen's gonna know. So
that's all good, brother. That's all good. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I gotta get running. I actually gotta go visit my mom and dad.
All right. Thank you, Chris. We'll talk to you later.
Later, guys. Take care.
Thank you, TJ. I'll put your links in the description and we'll talk to you later.